Bareback is the best just because that's where your seat is. That's how you, when I was a kid growing up, my sister and I were not allowed to have a saddle. We had to be able to perform equitation, you know, posting everything without a saddle. And then it was a big deal to us when we had a saddle. But it became, as kids, it was a big deal because saddles were cool, but 2 or 3 weeks into that, it was too much trouble to put it on. So we, but your riding, you know, your bareback riding is where your seat develops from. Certainly the next day after you've ridden bareback for a long time, you'll feel it in your thighs and so forth. But your balance is never in your legs, it's in the inside of your knee on bareback, and you actually roll your tailbone onto the back, and that's what stops you from bouncing. So you have to be on the horse and let the horse carry you. But as soon as you come like this, now you start bouncing. You know, you've all perhaps seen in 4-H and stuff where they have that little game for the kids of ride the buck. They put a dollar bill under their saddle, and then the horse trots, and if the dollar bill is still there, it's theirs.
Right. Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Great.
There's another little exercise you can do. So if you take your stance of a saddle and you lift your heels off the floor, off the ground, now you move your heels without moving your head. These are your shock absorbers. So when you're riding your horse, you're absorbing everything down here. So when you can stand still and do that on the ball of your feet, then you can do that because your stirrups are just the ground that you stand on, basically. And so that's where your balance comes from. Okay, well, I'm going to just do a short demonstration here. When we get on a horse from the stirrup, from the ground, we actually stress the back. And I want to share something with you here. Most of the time you'll see this kind of a mount on a horse. When a person goes to get on, they will do this and get on the horse. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with that, but what you're doing is you're using all upper body strength to get on the horse. And the tree of the saddle obviously runs right along the spine on both sides. If we grab this saddle here to get on, we're pulling the whole tree against the spine. This right here, the space right here is called the center of gravity of your horse, right through here. So if we get on the horse here and actually come up over this place right here before we swing on, we're not pulling the spine the same way. And it's an important difference, but when you try it, this is typically what happens if people try this without understanding what they're doing. That's what'll happen. Okay? But it's as I said, there's nothing wrong with this if you're getting up with some agility. But if you're dragging yourself up there because of the height of your horse, you're actually causing some issue in the back. So mounting from any kind of an elevated thing is important, I think. And we'll take any of these horses and teach them to park. And if we do that, teaching a horse to park for mounting, the way we're teaching her is giving a double tap on the side, on the shoulder rather. Park. But what I want to show you about this is what we have to do if we're going to use a stretch like this to get on. You want to be really, really careful. But when we get on the horse in a stretch, you want to come way over up here and sit into the saddle. Not come up and drop straight down onto the saddle because they're vulnerable being stretched out like that. Some of you, maybe all of you, have using mounting blocks and may have what we call the parallel park lesson, but it's a way to mount off of a elevation. And we'll just use the fence here as an example. Have the horse face you, and then you want it to come sideways for the mounting. And
She's done that a few times.
and so when you're teaching that lesson, you'll see a lot of times when a person comes up to a mounting block, they will get the horse, try to get it next to it, and then they get on the mounting block and the horse moves. So this way, at least you have control over making that decision.